She thought a shiny ring could buy her love, but I took back the venue, the deposit, and my future, leaving her with nothing but regret. My name is Jack. I'm 36, and I own a few restaurants. It's a brutal business, but I've worked hard and managed to carve out a solid life for myself. My fiancée, Anna, is 29. We've been together for 3 years and engaged for the last 6 months. She's beautiful, she's charming, and she comes from a family where old money and appearances are everything. I, on the other hand, am a self-made man. My money is new. Her family always looked at me with a kind of polite curiosity, like I was some well-trained dog that somehow learned to count. When I proposed, I thought I did it right. I bought a classic, elegant diamond ring, the kind that felt timeless. She said yes with a smile, but weeks later, her expression shifted. She came to me with a speech about how her friends and mother thought the ring didn't suit her. She looked at me with sad eyes, claiming she couldn't stop thinking about another ring. A much more modern, and of course much more expensive designer ring. The way she described it, you'd think it was the secret to happiness itself. I knew what was happening. I'm not stupid. This was a test, a social and financial obstacle she wanted me to jump over. But I loved her, and I told myself that if this made her happy, then it was worth it. I agreed, but told her it would take time since my money was tied up in opening a new location. She pouted but accepted. Meanwhile, the wedding planning went on at full speed. Most of it was funded by me, including an obscenely expensive historic vineyard her mother had insisted on. Fast forward to that Saturday night. We were at her parents' home for their anniversary dinner. The whole evening was a showcase of their wealth and my outsider status. Her father spent nearly half an hour bragging about his latest yacht trip. Her mother criticized the $200 wine I brought, calling it just a decent table wine. I sat through it all with a smile. Later, I slipped out to the patio, and that's when her older brother, Daniel, came out. He's a finance guy, always wearing a suit like it was sewn onto his skin, radiating smug superiority. He's the kind of man who calls everyone man, but manages to make it sound like an insult. He made a bit of small talk, asking about my new restaurant with a tone that implied he expected me to fail. Then he grew quiet and looked over their perfect lawn. Leaning closer, his voice dropped into a low, almost conspiratorial whisper. "Look, Jack," he said, like he was doing me the biggest favor in the world. "I'm telling you this because I want to see my sister happy. Between us, she's not really sure about you. She thinks you're a good guy, but she's used to a certain lifestyle. She's got options, guys she grew up with, guys who match that lifestyle. But the ring is a big deal. It's a symbol. If you buy her the one she really wants, the one she's been showing everyone pictures of, she'll go through with it. She'll be happy. It'll smooth everything over." Then he patted my shoulder with that condescending gesture of his and added, "Think about it, man. It's a small price to pay for a lifetime of happiness. Consider it an investment in your future." I just smiled. I nodded like I was taking his advice to heart. He walked back inside with a smirk, leaving me standing in the dark. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't a marriage proposal. This was a business deal. The final condition was a bribe. A diamond bribe to drag her to the altar. The pain burned for a moment, but it was quickly swallowed by something else. A cold, fierce, liberating rage. That night, I played the role of the loving fiancé. I laughed at her father's jokes. I complimented her mother's dessert. I kissed Anna goodnight and told her I loved her. She had no idea that I was already planning the collapse of the life she thought she had secured. She believed she was a princess in a castle, but she didn't realize that the builder of that castle was about to pull the foundation out from under her. Update 1. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there beside Anna, listening to her breathing, staring at the ceiling while my mind moved like a machine. This wasn't going to be a messy, emotional breakup filled with tears and shouting. No, this was going to be cold, calculated, and precise. It would be a restructuring, a corporate decision where her position in my life had been made redundant. Every emotion I once felt was replaced by a steely focus, a sharp kind of clarity that only comes when you finally see the truth without any illusion standing in the way. The first thing I did that Sunday morning was make a phone call. The final payment for the vineyard venue was due the very next day. $80,000 was about to leave my account in a wire transfer I had already scheduled. I called my bank's 24-hour line, got connected to a helpful man named Mark, and told him to cancel it. In less than 5 minutes, the avalanche had begun. That money would no longer be feeding the illusion of a fairy tale wedding. Next, I turned my attention to the ring. She wanted a symbol, a testament that I could meet her price. And I decided to give her one, just not in the way she imagined. I spent hours online not browsing diamonds but classic cars. For years, I had dreamed of owning a vintage muscle car. Something loud, bold, and completely unapologetic. The kind of purchase that would make her family's faces twist in horror. I found the perfect one, a 1969 Camaro, beautifully restored, gleaming like a piece of history on wheels. The price? Almost identical to what her precious dream ring would have cost. I called the seller, negotiated the deal, and made arrangements to collect it the following day. But the biggest move was dealing with her presence in my home. She hadn't just moved in. She had colonized my space with clothes, furniture, art, and trinkets that screamed of her. I didn't want to throw it all out. That would have been too simple. I wanted a statement, a gesture she could never forget. So, I hired a professional moving company. Not to take her belongings to storage, but to her brother Daniel's house. The very brother who had whispered the truth to me. I found his address and gave it to the movers. I even told them to bill everything to my account. By Monday morning, while she was at her part-time gallery job, every piece of her life was packed up and hauled away. In 3 hours, my home was completely free of her. Even the half-used shampoo bottle was gone. And by noon, her entire world was on its way to her brother's perfect suburban lawn. The locksmith came next. New locks, new codes. My fortress was mine again. Then, around midday, I drove out to collect the Camaro. When I saw it in person, I knew instantly I had made the right choice. I paid in cash, a duffel bag filled with the same money that could have bought her dream ring. Driving it home felt like freedom wrapped in chrome and thunder. I parked it right in the driveway so she would never be able to miss it. At 3:15 in the afternoon, the vineyard called. Their event manager sounded panicked, asking why the final payment had been canceled. I played innocent, pretending to be shocked. Oh, really? That's strange. But you should probably talk to Anna. Her name is on the contract, right? She's the one running the show. They confirmed it, and I knew exactly what would happen next. Within minutes, they'd be calling her to tell her that the $20,000 deposit she'd put down on her credit card was about to be lost unless the remaining balance was paid immediately. I could practically hear the fuse burning toward the explosion. Update 2. At 3:22, my phone lit up with Anna's name. Her voice came through like fire, screaming so loudly I had to hold the phone away. Jack, what is going on? The venue just called me. They said the payment was canceled. You promised you were handling it. I waited for her to burn through her first wave of rage before I answered calmly. I was handling it, but then I received new information that made me reconsider the investment. Investment? She shouted, completely bewildered. What are you talking about? This is our wedding. No, Anna, I said flatly. This was a transaction, and the terms were unacceptable. Your brother explained it perfectly to me. If I buy you the ring you want, you'll go through with it. I've decided not to meet your price. The silence that followed was heavier than any shout. I could practically hear her struggling to breathe. Finally, she stammered, My brother? What did he say? He clarified everything, I replied coldly. He made it clear this was a business deal, not a marriage. So the deal is off. The wedding is off. And you and I are finished. Her voice cracked. You're breaking up with me because of something Daniel said? He was probably joking. He wasn't joking, I said. And neither am I. By the way, your things are no longer at my house. They've been delivered to Daniel's address. Since he's so invested in our relationship, I figured he could help you manage the logistics of your new life. Also, don't bother coming by. The locks have been changed. That's when the threats started. Legal threats, family threats, her father's lawyers, all of it. I didn't flinch. Go ahead, I said calmly. Have your father's lawyers call mine. He'll love to hear about how your brother tried to solicit a bribe on your behalf. That's called extortion, Anna. Look it up. I'm sure your father's firm would be thrilled to see that on public record. Then I hang up and blocked her number. Within the hour, Daniel called, his voice full of forced authority. You're making a huge mistake, Jack. No, Daniel, I replied coldly. The mistake was you thinking I was as stupid as you are. And by the way, your sister's entire worldly belongings should be arriving on your lawn any minute now. Enjoy. Then I hang up. Minutes later, my phone buzzed with a picture from a friend who lived in Daniel's neighborhood. It showed a giant moving truck parked in front of Daniel's perfect house while movers unloaded box after box. Daniel's wife was on the porch, red-faced, screaming at him. My friend's text simply said, "Dude, what did you do?" I replied with nothing more than a laughing emoji. Final update. 6 months have passed since that weekend, and the dust has finally settled. I never heard from Anna's father or his lawyers again. My attorney sent a single letter to her family outlining every non-refundable wedding expense I had covered, over $50,000 worth. The letter politely reminded them of the consequences of pursuing this legally, including a potential public scandal over their son's attempt at extortion. They quietly dropped it all. I didn't get a cent back, but their silence was its own kind of payment. Anna's life didn't turn out the way she had envisioned. Word through the grapevine says her relationship with Daniel is in ruins. His wife never forgave him for the moving truck disaster, and his career took a serious hit after an anonymous tip reached his firm's compliance department about his involvement in the bribe. He blames Anna for starting the mess, and she blames him for opening his mouth. Meanwhile, Anna moved back in with her parents. Without me funding her lifestyle, she was forced to face reality. The luxury she took for granted vanished, and she had to find a full-time job for the first time in her life. Her so-called friends, the ones who encouraged her greed, quickly scattered once they realized the money train had stopped. I saw her once a few weeks ago. I was driving the Camaro on a bright Saturday afternoon, heading to pick up my new girlfriend. A smart, grounded woman who loved me for who I was, not for the watch on my wrist or the price of a ring. Anna was standing on the sidewalk, waiting for a bus. She looked small, ordinary, miserable. She saw the car. Then she saw me behind the wheel. For a moment, our eyes met. I didn't honk. I didn't smirk. I just looked ahead and drove right past her. And that was the true revenge. Not the canceled wedding, not the public embarrassment, not even the sight of her possessions piled on her brother's lawn. The real victory was refusing to play their game at all. They thought my love could be bought, that I was just a bank account waiting to be emptied. But I proved that I wasn't for sale. Instead of a ring to prove my worth, I bought something that brought me real joy, a car that symbolized freedom. She wanted a husband to acquire like an asset. When the deal collapsed, she was left with nothing but consequences.